Give me 1 second, because I have no idea. It hasn't shown yet, but I think we're doing good. We're live. Dude, we did it. This is very exciting. Hopefully everybody is, or anybody is joining us. However, I don't see it yet on Twitter, so not sure what I'm doing wrong. This is my new toy, so I guess I'm not that. Oh, we're definitely live.
Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, cool. This is even more exciting knowing that it works. So thank you so much, Kumar, for taking this challenge and joining me.
For sure.
I've wanted you to do these for quite some time because it's so impressive, what I call your Shark Tanky thing. So would you mind giving just a brief introduction of yourself? And then I can grill away and interrogate you.
Hi, my name is Kumar. I'm an engineer, and I've been doing marketing for the last 7 years. I come up with atypical ways to grow companies, and I have a working memory of a lot of technologies and online communities. So, yeah, I guess that's we can go.
And did you buy Facebook?
I bought Facebook. Yes, I did.
Isn't that remarkable? Isn't the market incredible? Is that amazing?
Yeah.
So I'm going to grill Kumar, and hopefully we can make it pretty quick, because I think yesterday I got a little carried away. I was so excited. So I want to make sure I see some people here, and I want to make sure I'm responsive to them. So Sierra, how are you? I think we DM'd really briefly today, didn't we? Pizzoni, hi. Thank you very much for joining. Sierra, which one of us is handsome? We're both handsome guys. Doug No says your hair is perfect, and I assume that's for you, Kumar, because my hair inside my head is perfect.
I got you.
So again, thank you so much for joining, and whoever's here joining us, thank you also. It's very exciting. So Kumar, I call what you do Shark Tanky, and you always pop it on me at the last second, and you don't have it kind of planned out when it's going to happen. It's just a spontaneous thing. So could you just, and it's very startup-y, so for those people who have startups there or are very interested in marketing or how to kind of advance a smaller company, could you just describe what that Shark Tank thing is?
Yeah, so basically if you tell me the name of your company and who you're targeting, or even just give me a URL of your company, in less than like 60 to 180 seconds, I'll reply with sort of a non-obvious way to grow that doesn't involve hiring more white-collar staff, spending money on ads, spending money on sponsorships. I'll usually try to come up with something creative that other people don't necessarily always think about.
Yeah. So if anybody has joined us and has an interest and is in that kind of business environment, I challenge you, Kumar. I want to see you do it live. I would love to see you do your Shark Tanky thing in front of everybody, because it's like a master playing chess, except it's much quicker, right? We don't have to wait 2 days for you to make one move. It's really just remarkable. So I'm going to wait for everybody, but in the meantime, who is more Jack Adam or Tom Cruise? Come on, really? It's him, definitely. Okay, so I can't really think of a question because this was so spontaneous of us. So hopefully somebody can ask Kumar a question. I would so much appreciate that. And I did this really as a trial run for 2 people because I intend on doing a lot more of these, and it was just spontaneous. So this LA Jan, thank you so much for joining us. You and I were supposed to meet last year and discuss, or earlier this year, and discuss your familiarity with Space Force. And that's what I know that we've neglected. So, Kumar, is there any way that I can challenge you? I can just give you a company, but I don't know many American startups anymore.
Tell me a company, and you're blurring out a little bit. So if you need to, put it in the chat, and I'll reply. Can you hear me clearly?
I can hear you perfectly. Are you having difficulty with me?
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you fine. You garbled for a minute.
Okay, that was probably not my microphone. That was probably me actually garbling. So if we don't have a chance to get to the startup questions, and I really hope we do. Oh, somebody's asking, can you do buff.ca?
What is the website?
Buff.ca.
All right, I'm looking it up right now on my computer. So it's bison meat. It's like jerky. Okay, one of the easiest ways to go promote this, there's a software called Jarvee, Jarvee, and there's a ton of Facebook groups called Keto. So if you search like keto, low carb, low sugar, there's going to be thousands of groups. You can join them, and then you can share content about how this is a good alternative to other meats because bison is unique and distinctive, and it's easy to carry around. So a lot of people who are keto have complications with trying to find like pieces of meat that are like this. Now, the types of content that you're going to want to share are going to be infographics related to keto that link back to you. When you share it in the group using Jarvee, Jarvee, you're always going to want to share it, ask a question, and then put a link in the comment and say to the admin, don't want to spam your group, just wanted to share this. And what will happen is because you've asked the question, the comment velocity is high. And so as the comment velocity goes up, you'll appear as one of the top posts in the group. Now, what Jarvee does is it scales your ability to do that very quickly into thousands of groups. Back in 2014, I was helping a buddy build an application for the fitness space. We did this into thousands of groups. The app got millions of downloads. It had some governance issues inside the company, but the tactic worked really well for acquiring customers. I think the keto crowd's a really easy audience for you to target, and they're willing to pay a premium for something that'll keep them more compliant within keto. And this is an alternative. So if they're getting bored of beef jerky, they can try bison jerky.
That was incredible. So somebody had a question for you. That was me. I'm talking to myself because somebody was saying my mic is going in and out. Somebody actually asked you about your top 5 stock picks. And I think Cernovich once said that I told him or something on America. In any event, I persuaded him to always buy stocks. So Kumar, somebody asked about your top 5 stocks. So
right.
I'm really interested in that too because I know you bought a defense stock that I did not have so much familiarity with.
Yeah, I bought a 3x leveraged ETF called DFEN. I don't think that was a good idea. That's a sophisticated instrument, and I'm still a noob to stock investing, so I don't want you to take this as advice. I was in on tanker stocks. Right now, I'm 98% Facebook, fully leveraged and margined and everything, and have stop losses in place. So I always put stop losses in place. I've only ever lost on like 3 or 4 trades, specifically around options, which I don't really play with anymore. I just don't have the gut timing to play with them as much. I'd rather just buy a stock and hold it for a good duration. Some people are day traders. I'm more of like a month-to-month trader, I guess. But I'd like to just get into long-term investing. And probably once the Facebook trade finishes, I'll be buying real estate. So it won't even be a stock. So, yeah, sorry to disappoint. I know you're asking for what are my top 5. But I've tweeted them a few times, and one of them I hold because I actually work for the company as a consultant. That's Mohawk Group Holdings, but everything else is, I've had to buy.
Yeah, so it's interesting because if I can contribute a little bit of my own thinking to that, is and I know I've emphasized this point before, and perhaps I'm also emphasizing it to myself, but I think of myself somewhat as a futurist, right? And seeing the future is one thing, and then creating that opportunity to gain the future is a whole different thing. Kumar, could you just hold off when you're typing a little bit?
I'm not typing anything.
Oh, because I heard a lot of clicking. So.
No.
Okay, so I think you muted your phone too. You accidentally muted. Okay.
I muted on purpose so you can talk.
All right. Yeah, cool. So because I think of myself as a little bit of a lot of it's a futurist, which it's good for seeing the future, but it's really bad if you're its victim. So I love Facebook. I've owned it for a long, long time. It's been my mutual fund of not even of social media, but it's been my mutual fund of innovation. Um, they've done just so much, and it's hard for me to kind of pinpoint precisely what it is. But what it is now there's really only a couple of companies that are kind of own the world, at least on our side of the world. And I call it Dark City because as we're locked away, they're just kind of codifying and building the moats and doing all those things to further embed them and to wipe out all their competition. So if we know that, which is my assumption, it's kind of my theory, then we want to own the stocks that are going to be the cartel. So if we know that the Constitution is being displaced by a terms of service, and we can see kind of the transformation from territorial sovereignty. We live in New York City, which we live in Florida, so or at least Nancy's heart does. So if we have if we know that there's a transformation in our people operating system, and we know that it's going that where our constitution is getting further away from us, and in terms of service is getting closer, that I want to own the companies that are touching the constituents more frequently. Right? Facebook is touching them every single day, while as the mom and pop store no longer does. So FANG is. I just hate Amazon, so I can't do the FANG thing. I really detest them. So I agree completely with your continuing to buy Facebook. What else? Yeah, real estate. So could you share your own thinking? Because I know people have asked. And can you also talk a little bit about your own kind of migration from San Francisco, and now you're a Miamiite, right?
Yeah. So what happened on March 14th? I came to Miami to speak at a conference. It was canceled. I kept extending my stay in through the isolation, and just to give you an idea, I have like a lot of paranoia about viruses and pandemics. Like I've been writing about them on my blog since 2014, 2015. Particularly, I'm worried about the next influenza pandemic, and I go through the history of the time cycle of why they happen at specific times. And so I was freaking out, and I just kept extending my stay in Miami. At some point, I'm realizing that I like Florida. I like the taxes. I like how cheap it is. And I work fully remote. So about a month and a half ago, I made the move with the accountant and lawyer. And so we started transitioning everything over to Florida. Even I'm a Florida LLC owner with my 20-person consultancy in tech. I don't have any employees. So I guess I would be an employee of my own company. I'm not sure, but I don't have any employees. I use only contractors, and I only use offshore just because I'm not well configured to deal with all the regulatory stuff. I'm sure I could probably use Insperity or TriNet when the time comes. Yeah. But I just saw how taxes and everything were going in Florida and San Francisco, and I didn't think it was tenable, so I left.
So, Zaid, and I fear mispronouncing your name, and I likely am, so I'll call you Z, which I encounter a lot of Z names, and it's just so easy for me to say Z. Says they'd like to invest in you. How can I invest in? Listen, Kumar is the American dream right there. It's really fantastic observing it, and I'm so happy that he's kept himself out of. People only have so much emotional energy. And it's very easy to deplete, and once it's depleted, it's very difficult to replenish. So I'm just so happy that you've expended that energy and that emotional output very, very well, and you've conserved it very, very well.
So it started when I started making real money. That was the thing that shifted, because then I had to think about taxes. I had to think about how do I take care of the people around me, because now I have a little bit of extra money to spend. And then I realized for so many years I'd focused on external things and watch the news and all that. So I started blocking everything. And then we met a few times. We've met since 2017, and you teach me lots of stuff. It took me a while to understand how you know it, or like where it came from, but I realized you're just super curious. But I don't protest anything. I'm not out there thinking about that stuff. I'm trying to build stuff, so it's too distracting.
I think that's going to present itself very badly for a lot of the tech people, and I've kind of shared on Twitter, right, my own thoughts, is that I don't think they have the emotional capacity for what comes next because they've just depleted so much of their energy. So I'm just so happy that you've conserved it and given a lot of thought to its value, right? So can you talk a little bit about your ambitions with real estate? Because I know it's been a part of our conversations offline.
So the goal is to get to an amount of money where I don't have to deal with the bank and I can borrow some private money from investors and buy multi-generational multifamily real estate. Ideally, 8 to 13 units or more, and like a good geography. Right now, though, I've been holding off on it just because right now there's so much money to be made in being a remote distributed tech worker that I have to maximize my time on that. The decision tree is for real estate. There's a learning curve, but I've got it on my mind. I see deals on a daily basis from all over the country, but I'll strike when the iron's hot, and I know it's hot. And, the metrics kind of make sense, but that's the aspiration. Even with my Facebook stock that I plan on selling, the dollars will within 90 days or less go into some form of real estate. They're not going to sit in my bank.
Yeah, and you consider that's so wide. You considered Las Vegas also, and I think for a brief amount of time you were considering Texas. So, what was your thoughts on those two destinations?
With Las Vegas, it was just hot, and the audience of people you meet in Las Vegas is like all over the place. I'm not saying South Florida is the same, but I have a little bit of family down here. I've always wanted to learn Spanish fluently, and I like the environment here more than Las Vegas. So I left Vegas. I tried it for a bit, but I didn't really like the city, so I never established domicile there either.
I want to be responsive to a lot of people's questions, and Kumar, a lot of people are very inquisitive about you. So he said, does No 9 says investing in people is the next best thing, and I would be horrible at that. I hate it. I hate investing in people because I'm not good at making that evaluation. It's much easier for me to work off a spreadsheet. Isn't that horrible? And kind of how it fits into my future. And are they going to be I'm skating to the puck? Are they skating to where the puck will be? Are they going to get there before I get there? And I hopefully they will, because then I can go in. I'm not sure, if this thing is a little bit delayed or I don't see questions. So I want to make sure I don't see questions. I see comments, certainly. Kumar, can you see the comments on your side? I don't know what your screen looks like.
Yes, I see the comments right. Yes, Jarvie is a bot. This is the scoping I need in my life. I love it. What do you both think about the future of currency? That's a good one. I like that one a lot because I remember in 2017, you telling me things about Bitcoin, late 2016, early 2017. And then Xi Jinping declared his whole thing in 2017. He had his whole Congress appear. And then all of a sudden, a lot of crypto traders or people holding Bitcoin and cryptocurrency became wealthy. And it took me a long time to understand the mechanics of what cryptocurrency was. But the one thing that sticks with me as far as currency is that when Shapeshift, which was one of the top cryptocurrency exchanges, when they implemented AML and KYC, the trading volume fell by 95 to 99% just overnight. And so that tells you quite a bit. KYC and AML stand for uploading your ID and tracking your transactions to make sure you're not doing anything criminal. So the moment they implemented that, the trading volume fell by 99% or 95%, according to some chain analysis companies. But that told me everything about cryptocurrency. As far as like Forex and the USD versus other currencies, I don't know enough. I know that China's printed more currency than any other country in the history of the world, supposedly. Adam can comment a lot more on that.
That's for a different day.
Yeah, they asked. So.
Yeah, that's for a different day. So a lot of crypto companies are straightforward and learn that the hard way. Yeah, but it's going to get regulated. It becomes credible, I think, once it gets regulated and there's a lot of regulatory oversight on it, and it needs a lot more disasters for that to occur. So you know, it's a tricky situation. When you do your Shark Tanky things, are there what companies are really memorable for you from doing that? Where as they present to you a company, you're like, wow, this is remarkable.
You, you know, to be honest, I studied like polymer engineering and industrial engineering. I used to work on like really edgy, phenomenal technology in the U.S. Um, and so like nothing in web shocks me. Probably the last thing I looked at was a new type of shape memory polymer out of Texas, University of Texas Dallas. It was called syzygy. Um, that was probably the most interesting thing. Anything with materials engineering really fascinates me because it's like it sits on the edge of phenomenal. Yeah, that's what my fascination is in the physical things, but I happen to do a lot of web stuff.
All right, so you're breaking up for me, so you might be breaking up for yourself as well.
You just froze for like 30 seconds. Sorry.
Did I? I just froze.
Yeah, you just
Oh.
froze on mine. What were you saying?
Yeah. So on my screen, and again, this is my new toy, so I haven't yet learned how to bounce the ball and get it into the net, but that'll happen pretty quickly, I hope. Oh, somebody says it was Kumar, so Kumar is the culprit. Kumar, you did this, and somebody was also kind enough to tell me about the game. So I'm really not that familiar with the game. Kumar, you're completely frozen, and it's a wonderful pose that you're in. So I think it captures the very essence of you. So hopefully you can rejoin, or you can figure out your screen a little bit. Kumar, can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay,
Can you hear me?
so I can hear you perfectly, and
Okay.
you'll see this at a later time, and I can tell you that it caught you at the perfect moment. So don't feel awkward at all, and hopefully your video will catch up. Are there any companies that, when you do your Shark Tanking thing, and if people haven't seen that, it's incredible. It's much better than a show. It doesn't have that kind of deviousness that happens in a show, and it's much more for early stage companies, so they can kind of accommodate also what Kumar sees, or they can kind of benefit from that contribution early on. Kumar, you're back. You're back. I kind of liked it the way you were before, actually, because you were frozen in such a good pose. So, what are the companies that you've discovered, or that have discovered you, where you were just blown away, when you first learned of them, doing your Shark Tanky thing?
Um, there's a company called Teller.io. You've probably heard of Plaid. Potentially, they were acquired by Visa for $7 billion. And what they do is something called screen scraping, and it's a way to fetch details inside your bank account. So that way, when you authenticate your bank with certain types of web developer applications, you just click, and then it shows your bank. You choose your bank, and then you authenticate. Uh, these guys did it through kind of like hacking the mobile SDK or mobile APIs. And it's a little bit adversarial, but they can't really block it. Like the big banks can't block it. So it's an interesting type of company. It's called Teller.io. That was when I discovered through gaining a little bit of a Twitter audience through those marketing posts. Um, there's been a few that I can't talk about that are materials engineering specific. Those are the ones that I get really most excited about. I'm sure I'll share them at some point in the future, just because they're cool physics things and it's new. Um, I worked with a company called FieldEngineer.com. This one was an interesting one. Malik Zakaria is the founder. He's been in the telco space for a long time. I got to work with him and meet him in New Jersey. He's built like a distributed marketplace of telco workers. So, one of my friends, he owns the wireless network of Ibiza, the island off the coast of Spain, and he was able to go on that site and find a worker to come fix some of his infrastructure for his wireless networks, and he's supplying internet to very famous celebrities that a lot of people know.
Somebody's asking you, what about realityengines.ai?
Let me pull it up on my computer.
This is remarkable. This is suspense for me. I'm really excited about what he's going to say. I love. I'm
Reality.
to observe him in motion.
Engines.ai.
Reality Engines, realityengines.ai.
It ends up showing up as abacus.ai. Is that the it? Okay, I see. It's Reality Engines. The problem with machine learning dev tool. So if you want to grow, what you can do, I'll tell you how to grow, but I'll tell you one of the flaws with this type of business. Whoever's listening and the founder of the company, with dev tools AI companies, there's hundreds of them. And so unless you have a deep differentiator, you don't really want to compete on technology. For all practical purposes, machine learning is for the most part commoditized. Now your approach to the market doesn't have to be. You should use all those skills in building sort of data collection systems to build scrapers and crawlers to automate your LinkedIn to get in front of relevant potential customers. To scrape, you can go to a website called bit.ly, bit.ly/scraping monster. You could literally scrape every business from betalist.com and producthunt.com and see if they have anything to do with data ingestion. And if they do, then you should reach out to them. You can guess their email from clearbit.com, or you can use slick.ai. That's SLIK.ai. Slick.ai will guess the founder's email from their product URL. Like you can give it the first and last name and the domain name of their company. The third thing you can do is there's lots of startup accelerators. So you could build a giant list of all the startup accelerators, reach out to them, and give them credits, much the same way Stripe and Twilio does. Stripe reaches out and says, hey, we'll give you $100,000 of credits, but you have to use them in 1 year. The likelihood of anybody using them in 1 year is very low, less than 1%, right, of the deals that they use. Twilio does something similar. They give $4,000 to $10,000 credits. You should give away something similar as well, and you should offer the consulting on top of it to actually help the company navigate the AI. Upload a photo of your... The other thing you can do is there are, I'm forgetting the names of the companies. You can go to something called the Apple EPF. Apple EPF, their affiliate program. And what will happen is you have to register as an affiliate. So just fake it. Say you're an affiliate, even though you're not. And then they're going to give you a database every day. It's going to be annoying. It's like an ER database model or something. You need a backend developer to wrangle it. You're going to filter down all the applications to just applications that mention in uploading a photo. When it mentions uploading a photo, you're going to reach out to those companies. This costs you nothing but your sweat equity to actually do the scraping. And that's how I would do that. But largely the first three are ways to reach out to potential customers. The last methodology I mentioned explicitly targets companies that have photo upload AI potential problems. So you get in front of 100% of relevant potential customers every day on the app, on the iPhone App Store. And keep in mind, the Google App Store is not easily scrapable. It's going to take a lot of resources, engineering and cost-wise, but the Apple Store is very easily scrapable. There's about 4,000 to 5,000 apps that launch every day on the Apple iStore or the iOS App Store. And so you could scrape all of them, find everyone who's dealing with image upload, and say, hey, we can offer you some additional functionality with those images that are uploaded of people's faces.
Okay, Kumar, we have time for one more. Would that be all right? I want to be
let's go.
Time, and I know this was very spontaneous and everybody else's time. So somebody asked about Vollbak, VOLLEBAK. VOLLEBAK. They're materials engineering for clothing. And I'm trying to fix my gain or whatever it is, so I'm learning.
The Vollbak, the full built with 11 kilometers of copper. Good Lord. The virus-killing coat of the future. I see. So you coat everything with copper. So copper kills the enzymes in bacteria and has, well, no, that's silver. Colloidal silver will do that. I know less about copper. I need to go back and research. Again, I'm 12 years or 10 years out of practice on materials engineering, but I'm fascinated by this stuff. So all these goods. Okay, there's an application called Get Armada app. Getarmada.app. GETARMADA.app. It's going to scan YouTube, Twitter, and Reddit for keywords. So this part's going to take your creativity. There are people talking about buying clothes made of unusual materials. The last one that I remember, and again, this is from several years ago, which means there's a new pattern that you guys have to discover and then use this technology to go find customers in, was people were making clothes out of milk proteins. It was $300 a yard. It was completely impractical. But if that article appears on Twitter, Reddit, and YouTube, you should be right there commenting on it and saying, hey, we built clothes out of copper. And there'll be an audience of people that are interested in that type of thing. Another thing you can do, you can build a botnet. There's a subreddit called Shut Up and Take My Money. You can go on there and you can post interesting content about copper clothing on there, and you could pop it to the top 6 or 7 fairly easily. I've done this in the past. There was a company that made bear clothes, like a giant bear suit for people. That was very popular in the show Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I got it there, and he sold several hundred. This is when I was in New Orleans before I moved to Silicon Valley. And I did that naturally without any botnets, proxies, et cetera, et cetera. But that would be another way to get a relevant audience to find out about it. Yeah.
So Kumar, let me ask you, we don't have the founder of the company handy, fortunately, but so that company, is that the ideal way to get distribution for their product, is to go through retail? Or would their client acquisition be through going through a large retailer? And I don't know. Yeah.
So I think one of the most interesting things they could do is data journalism. So like a long-term functional tactic they can do once they're able to afford like 7 to 8K or more in PR would be to do database journalism. So to do science experiments with the copper clothing. And then with the science experiments, they could publish those results and email journalists. And they could do that periodically, and they could do it multiple times over. There's 2 companies they can look at. One of them is called safegraph.com, and the other one's called Priceonomics. Both of these companies do a consistent form of data journalism. So they have the advantage of data journalism plus novelty. They'd have to learn PR. There is a company they can use called prx.co, or if they can't afford that, there's a $100 a month app called buzzsumo.com, and they can find journalists that have written about crazy types of clothing that are high novelty. And you basically send interesting data reports that you produce or infographics along with an email, and you see what they react with. I'm not a PR pro, but I know instances where you have novelty and you should try to work that angle. This is one of those.
All right, so we've gone to 32 minutes, and it's been spontaneous, and that's the way I enjoy watching your Shark Tanky. So this has been very exciting, and hopefully we've had a chance to respond to a couple of questions, and I got to interrogate you as much as you were prepared for, and I was ready for. So thank you, everybody, for joining us, and hope everybody had a good time. All right, cool.
Cheers, guys. Good night.